2025 has been a bit of a mixed bag for me, but I can 100% say now that I've rekindled my love for camping again. We've only got a couple of weeks left until the new year. I thought I'd have a little chat about some of my favourite bits of camping gear from 2025. Just to be clear, this is not necessarily my favourite bits of gear of all time. It's just stuff that's really impressed me this year. It's all subjective and just my personal opinion. You know, you might think that this is overpriced, overweight, not functional. Not sure if that's a description of the camping gear or me. But let's crack on, starting with the tent. So this is the Nortent Vardé 1. There's an old saying that you can't help who you fall in love with, and I wasn't supposed to fall in love with this tent. So when this tent came out earlier in the year, there was a lot of hype around it, and I sort of stepped back and like a lot of new things that come to market, I thought there was quite a bit of hype in it. But it was growing more and more popular, so I thought I'd buy this for a raffle prize. Expecting some lucky winner to have one of the most popular tents anyway. It came through the post and I pitched it up in the garden just to check that everything was there, and I thought, wow, this is a lovely tent. Sent the message to Jo, said how lovely it was, and she says, why don't you keep it? And I didn't argue with her. And I'm really glad that I didn't, because it is a fantastic tent. It's a little bit heavy, so it's not for everybody. It's about 2.8 kilograms, I think. It's really robust. But there's 4 heavy poles in there, 9.6 millimeters I think they are, and they've gone for DAC Featherlight poles this time. So that's one of the big upgrades that Nortent have done. So if you know your tents, you can probably see some of the similarities with the design to the Hilleberg Sulu, which I had one of those back in the day and I absolutely loved it. But I eventually let it go, and one of the reasons was that it was just not quite enough room for me inside, whereas this is a palace. Loads of room for one person. I'd say this is a 1.5 person tent. I've got a wide sleeping pad in there, space there for gear, a little bit of room at the head end as well, and this porch, or vestibule as you want to call it, is massive. I've shown before in a video where you can actually lie down in there, although it's a little bit muddy for that today. This tent ticks quite a lot of boxes for me now. Really robust, really spacious. Like I said, it's a little bit heavy, so I wouldn't be using this personally for multi-day hikes or anything, but up on hill summits and mountain camping, this tent will certainly hold its own. I forgot to mention it's almost half the price of the Hillebergs as well, so it's a worthy winner for my favourite tent of this year. Make sure to let me know in the comments which is your favourite. So before we move on to the next thing, I forgot to mention I did buy another one of these for a raffle prize. There isn't a lot of time until the raffle ends, but I will put a link in the description and the pinned comment if you want to have a go at winning a brand new one of these. So the next thing on the list is my backpack. I'm not going to dwell on this for too much at all because I've not had this long enough to recommend it. But I've had it out on the trails 3 or 4 times now, and it is a fantastic backpack. So comfortable. This is the Fjallraven Keb 72. Like me, this is a chunky fella. I think it weighs around 2.5 kilograms. For most of the year I've been using my Atom Packs Mo EP 50 or 60. They're both really good packs, but they're really designed for lightweight camping. And although I've not deliberately gone for heavier gear, it just seems that I've been going more for comfort, and more comfort sometimes means more weight. So earlier on in the year I bought the Fjallraven Singy Stuben, which is the woodland pack that's got the built-in seat with it, just for coming down here. It's a brilliant bit of kit. The quality of it is superb, but it is not meant for any sort of long distance hiking anyway. In fact, if it's on your back for just a couple of miles, it starts to feel uncomfortable because there's no hip belt support. But I've seen that Todd from the YouTube channel Going Solo, if you've not seen him, definitely go check him out. They've been using these Keb backpacks, both the 72 and the 52. So I reached out to him and asked him which one he recommended. He says they're both fantastic, but the 52 litre would be more than enough. So obviously I didn't listen to him and bought the 72, which is actually perfect size for this time of year, and it gives me an excuse to get the 52 litre when things start to warm up a bit. What makes it so special is this suspension system. You can't see it here because I've got it hung up on a tree. We've got birch frame on it. Everything is, this is fully adjustable, so you can dial it in perfectly. All of the weight gets distributed to your hips perfectly with this. It's so comfortable. And considering it's a heavy pack, strangely enough it feels a lot lighter when you've got it fully loaded compared to other backpacks, just because it carries the weight so much better. So because of the quality and the way it carries weight, it's now my favourite pack. I'm looking forward to next year seeing how that carries the weight over multiple days. Typical that I want to show you my sleep system. It started raining. We'll go for sleeping pad first. This is the Zenbivy Ultralight Flex Air. Looks like I'm going to have to get it out. It will dry, obviously. Just try not to get it too mudded up. But this is the, I'm not sure if it's the long wide. I think it's a regular wide version. And this is so comfortable. Try not to get attacked by the trees. It's got these little air sprung pockets. I'm not sure what the R rating is. I will put it up on the screen. But this material has got some stretch to it, so it sort of takes away any sort of pressure points. Now, pads like the Thermarest, any of the Thermarest pads apart from the Neo Loft, you know, they give me a dead arm during the night. They become really uncomfortable. This, I would say that the Thermarest Neo Loft is a little bit more comfortable. We're talking fractions, but it's just way too thick for me. This is the perfect mix. And it packs down really small as well. So this came as part of Joe's Zenbivy sleep system. So the Zenbivy bed, actually, so that comes with quilt, pillow, sheet for the mattress and everything. That mattress is so quiet as well compared to other sleeping pads. You know, when you're rolling over it sounds like you're on crisp packets. Doesn't happen with that. I've got to give an honourable mention to the full Zenbivy sleep system. It is fantastic, so comfortable with the sheet, the pillow. It's the closest you're going to get when you're camping to being in a bed at home. But when I'm in a smaller tent, it's a bit of a faff to set it up. So I don't use the full system. I just use the mattress and then I've got a different quilt. So the Zenbivy Ultralight Flex Air, or whatever it's called, my favourite sleeping pad 2025. Although after having a chat with Chris Woolard, I'm going to try something different early next year, see how we get on with that. So while we're talking about 2025, I want to give a massive thank you to Squarespace, who once again have supported our channel throughout the year. If you don't know who Squarespace are, they're the number one place to go if you want to have a go at building a website by yourself. So both me and Joe have got our own websites and we know nothing about web design or coding, but it is really easy. All we had to do was choose one of their ready-made templates, upload our own photos, add some text, and then just drag things around a little bit till you've got it looking just how you want it. So I use my website for promoting my YouTube channel, my online raffles and sending out newsletters, things like that. Whereas Joe, she uses the e-commerce features for selling her artwork and paintings, takes care of all the payments for you and things like that. Joe says it's really easy to set up. There's loads of other different features. There's subscription services. You can upload videos, set up a gallery. So if you're a photographer, you're a crafter, doesn't matter what you do, Squarespace has got you covered. So if you click the link in the description below or head over to squarespace.com/Paul Messner, you'll get a totally free trial, set up your website, see what it looks like, and when you're ready to go live, you'll get 10% off your first purchase. Massive thanks again, Squarespace, for sponsoring the channel this year. So this is actually my quilt. But let me show you this first. This is another little thing that's a bonus item. The stuff sack, this is the Zenbivy stuff sack. It's got like a release valve there, so you can, you know, close everything up and then squash it down afterwards. This is great. Makes it much easier for getting it into your pack. You can just manipulate the shape of this as well, just so it fits your rucksack. So added bonus, Zenbivy, the 15 litre one. That I don't know if you can buy it separately. I'm sure you can. Probably expensive for a stuff sack, but it's great. Anyway, onto my quilt. So this is the Enlightened equipment Revelation. So I've had this, I think it's over the 12 months now. Can't remember which rating it is. I think it is the 20 degree one, or 20 degree Fahrenheit, which, let's have a look, see if we can find it. I will pop the one up that I got on the screen. I'll check my order, but it is the regular wide version, and it packs down to next to nothing, as you've already seen, and it is so comfortable. This material is lovely, but again, all these things probably overpriced for what they are, but that's the going rate, I'm afraid. I'll put links in the description so you can have a look and then dismiss it. But yeah, this is so comfy. So I can open up the foot box so I can let some air in when it gets a little bit too warm. I can unzip it fully so it's like a full-on blanket. I'm just going to get this in the tent because the rain's getting a bit fatter. Yeah, the one thing I don't like about quilts though is the price. I think, let me get this off. Yeah, they look like they're less complicated to make, less material than a sleeping bag, yet they cost more money. I don't understand that at all. But for me, it's less restrictive and much more comfortable. So what's your thoughts? Are you a quilt kind of person or a sleeping bag kind of person? Or are you one of these frugal people that has a sleeping bag and then unzips it and then just uses it as a quilt? I've done that many times before, and it certainly works. Been so busy lately. Otherwise I would have filmed this video when it wasn't raining. I've got no more days left between now and Christmas anyway. Pillow. This one has surprised me. This is the Otimos pillow. So usually I'd be using something like, I've got the Thermarest stuff sack pillow. I've got the Cedar Summit Eros, is it, that pillow? And they're all okay, but they're not brilliant. This one been the best so far anyway. Yeah, and it's just got a nice cushion bit on there, and then there's an air pad inside. I think you can take the air pad out, or you can fold it inside. You can take the little air pad out. I've never needed to. But that's just been my favourite pillow of 2025. There's not a lot I can say about it. It's a pillow, and it's still not like a real pillow. But you know, when you're camping, you want something that packs down to nothing and weighs nothing sometimes. This was the hardest of the lot to pick, to be honest with you. Cook system. I love all of my cook systems. Let's just get this zipped up. We're done in there, I think, and it's raining. I've used so many different cook kits this year. Honourable mention for the Jetboil Flash. I think that has been fantastic stove. I've used it so much just for making a brew, boiling the bag kind of meals. I've even done a little bit of cooking on it, so it's been, yeah, a big surprise to me because I thought it was just a one-trick pony. But this, you see how small this packs down first. Just let me show you. This is the Kavia Spider, and this is a pretty much all-season stove. This is the pot that I've been using with it, although if I'm cooking I tend to not to use the titanium so much. Put that in there out of the way. Gas canister. Don't think I'm going to be cooking or having a brew today in this. This stove, as you can see, has got a brass preheat tube there, so when the weather gets really cold you can invert the gas canister and run off, well, the liquid fuel runs down the pipe, gets vaporised once the stove gets heated up in there, and then you can use this pretty much all year round, which is fantastic. Let's get it fired up just to show you what I mean. This has been great for cooking with, for boiling water. You can get a very fine simmer on there, look. But you can also get it roaring for a boil. And as I said, if it gets cold, you do this the right way, you can invert the canister so the liquid will go along. You do need to let it warm up for 20-30 seconds first. It means in colder weather you could get away with it anyway. And if your pressure's running a little bit low as well, you're running low on gas, you can also run it inverted. But you must preheat it first. And then when you've done with that, give it another few seconds just to burn out the fuel. You don't want this full of liquid. For such a tiny stove, that packs quite a punch. And yeah, I do like this as well. You know, you can decent sized pot with markers in there. The lid you can sort of clip on the side like that if you want to. Stops you having to put it on the muddy floor. Perfect setup if you just want to boil water, and this fits one of those gas canisters perfectly. So if you want to do a little bit more than boiling water, fry up a steak or a bit of stir fry, this is my favourite frying pan of 2025. Actually, it's not my favourite. The favourite is the Pathfinder skillet. However, that's a carbon steel skillet. It is quite heavy, and I don't take that one when I'm camping so much. It's more just for going down the woods, that one. Whereas this, the non-stick coating is so good. The handle, you know, you just press the button in, like, is it that way? Yes. And it folds underneath as well. I don't like the ones that fold inside. These are much better. Very sturdy on this little stove there. Yeah, not a lot to say about it really, but it's a good frying pan anyway. Comes with a little bag. Yeah, that I would say is my most used and favourite setup anyway. Look at the state of that. I think that's going to need a bit of a wipe down, isn't it? So I've got a couple more honourable mentions. I was going to show you my favourite chair of 2025, but I'm not going to go into great detail. It still is the Crazy Creek Hex 2.0, I think it's called. But the reason I've not been using this recently is because on the ground, you know, you're going to get it really wet and muddy. And as you can see, it is a bog today. So if this is on the ground, I don't even want to go inside the tent, to be honest with you, because I'm just going to get mud absolutely everywhere. There is a video on the channel, me going through all of my chairs, which is my favourite. I'll put it maybe as the end screen. You're not going to get to see me sitting down today. As part of my cook kit, we've got utensils. I got some of these tiny little spatula things, silicone ones. They are brilliant for just, you know, getting everything mixed up, getting right into the corners of your pots and pans. And then these little tiny tongs. You know, these came as part of a three-part set, and these are just the small ones, but they're perfect for camping. And then this is for me the best knife and fork and spoon set that I've used anyway. UCO one. I think you can put it together somehow like that. There you go. So if you want a long handled spoon or a long handled fork, you can do that. The knife's pretty good as well. Cuts through steak, no bother at all, as long as it's steak and not boot leather. Yeah, just nice to have a little bit of home from home utensils. When I'm out and about, I use quite a bit of tech as well, you know, things like tripods. I've got power banks, all that kind of stuff. I'm not going to talk too much about that kind of stuff, but this has been fantastic. I use this all the time. This is my BioLite lantern. So that goes in the tent. It's got the safety switch thing on there, so it doesn't accidentally switch on in your bag. You have to hold it in for about 5 or 6 seconds, and it'll flash again. There we go. And now you can use it. So you can give it a bit of a shake, and it just puts one side on, so you're saving battery. Still at full power there. Give it another shake. And it's got lots of other different settings as well, look, so you can have it different colours, and if you want a disco and all that kind of stuff. I don't know if you can shake it. Yeah, you can shake it and do different things. I don't know how it all works. It's one of them things that you just have to, there you go, changes colour from blues to greens. That's disco mode, look, it's changing. I'm not the kind of person that uses disco mode I just normally go for that. There is something that really annoys me though. Micro USB. Who uses that? This is still a pretty recent product. You can still buy this. That is like, we're talking dial-up internet. Is that old? Hold it in for another 6 or 7 seconds. It'll flash. There we go. And now I can't accidentally turn it on. Just flashes, look, when you press the button. No worse than when you get to camp and you've had it on all day in your bag and then you've got no power left. Other bit of tech that goes everywhere with me is this Zoleo SOS thing. You need to connect it up to your phone if you want to send text messages and stuff like that. But there is a... hope to never ever have to press that button. But yeah, I think they're all pretty much the same, these kind of things. But as long as you've got something if you need it. So the last couple of bits are my luxury items. First one is cheap as chips, but it's been brilliant for me. It cost about, I don't know, 8 quid, 6 quid, something like that. I got 2 tins with these little bottles in them. You see those? And my lovely wife, she filled them up with spices and stuff for me. Although I don't want them to fall all over the... You have to give them a little... They're quite a tight fit, look. So, there you go. So, this little bottle's got chip seasoning in. We've got chili flakes. I've got salt, ground pepper, Italian herbs, garlic powder. So, you know, just adds a little bit of something. Weighs virtually nothing. And it's cheap to put together. Used this so many times this year. And the last one is I'm going to call it a priceless bit of luxury. Obviously it's got a price if you were to buy one of these, but this is my jack claw knife. So this was a gift to me by Sandy, Wiltshire man. He makes these with his... he's got a little business called Jack Claw Knives. I will put a link in the description below. These are fantastic bits of kit. Absolutely beautifully made, but they are premium price. Handmade from scratch. I've always been a little bit dubious and worried about carrying a fixed blade because we've got some ridiculous knife laws here in the UK. I understand why, but depending what you're using or what you've got one of these for. If I'm walking in a pub at 11 o'clock at night and I've got this, then I can understand me being questioned. But if I'm heading up camping, I've got a tent, I've got a stove, I've got food, I've got stuff to chop my food on, having a knife is a tool that you're going to use. You know, if you're a carpet fitter, you're not allowed to have a Stanley knife in your kit as your setup. I know if you've gone to the pub afterwards and you've just got a Stanley knife in there, then it's a different thing. But as long as you've got, you know, a reasonable excuse for carrying something like this, as long as I'm not having it in my pocket, it goes to the bottom of my bag, you know, with all of the cooking stuff and things like that. So yeah, this is one of my prized bits of kit, arguably at the top. Love it. It's one of those things that will make the top list every year, I reckon. I think that's about it. My favourite camping gear of 2025. So let me know in the comments what you think. If you see me use some other stuff this year that you think should be on the list, make sure to drop it in the comments below. Don't forget to check the description and the pinned comment to enter the raffle for one of those. And I've got a sneaky feeling I might see you one more time before 2026. But thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.